As an advocate of education, this man believes
a Butler High School senior who says she's not too interested in politics introduces George W. Bush.
I am proud to introduce to you Governor George W. Bush!
And with that, the Republican candidate for president walks into a sweltering Butler Bears gym to hammer home on the same issue he's been hammering the past 3 weeks: education.
I will focus my efforts, my energy, my political capital on closing the achievement gap, on making sure the public schools all across America fulfill the promise, make sure every child is educated and not one single child gets left behind in America.
Bush has a slew of school initiatives, $47 billion additional dollars over the next 10 years, more federal money for college aid for poor students, federal money tied to schools' performance, while saying that local districts should decide how to run their own schools.
I don't want to be the federal superintendent of schools.
Bush barely mentions his plan to give tax money or vouchers to parents whose kids attend public schools with 3 years of low test scores. He does say he'll put the heat on Congress to work with him on education issues.
A leader reaches across the partisan divide to achieve important goals for America. And that's what's needed in Washington. New leadership. Somebody who's willing to think differently. Somebody who's willing to act differently. Somebody who's willing to welcome people from the other party, to do what's right for the country, to do what's right for America.
George W. Bush comes to Butler High School to try and convince Kentuckians he'll be the education president.
I can't think of a better place to come than Butler Traditional.
But he's also here to talk a little politics.
I want you to remember who came to Butler Traditional to ask for the vote.
Bush accuses the Clinton-Gore administration of failing to deliver on its 1992 campaign promises to expand prescription drug coverage and cut taxes for the middle class.
Instead of a tax cut, it was tax increase. They've had their chance to lead on this issue.
Bush talks about his own tax cut plan, which Al Gore has called risky and catering to the rich. Bush says not so.
It's conservative to cut taxes. It's compassionate to give people their own money back so you can save and you can dream and you can build.
The Republican continues to hammer the themes he's been hitting on the past month: rebuilding the military, promising more federal money for schools, and bad-mouthing the Democratic administration in Washington.
I will swear to uphold the honor and the integrity of the office to which I have been elected, so help me God. Thank you all for coming.
Folks who were listening, including at least one Democrat, liked what they heard.
I was registered a Democrat, but I'm going to vote Republican for his program, especially his educational program.
I think he has a lot of character. I think that he will really try to do keep his promises.
Mark Hebert, WHAS 11 News.
George W. Bush!
This will be George W. Bush's 6th campaign stop in Kentucky, and this time around, Bush will be introduced not by another political type, but by Elisa Morris, a student and governor's scholar.
And I feel very privileged because I'm the first student to ever introduce Governor George W. Bush.
What are you going to say to him?
I'm going to say it's nice to meet you. I'm speechless. I don't know what I'm going to say.
What's your introduction going to be like?
It's going to be lively, and I've worked on it some today, and I feel that it'll be good. It'll be heartfelt.
Bush is coming to Butler High School to talk education. Yesterday, in a satellite interview, I asked Bush what he planned to tell the students.
I'm going to tell them a couple of things. One, I'm running, I want their vote. Secondly, they got to make right choices in life in order to get ahead in America. They got to work hard. Thirdly, that I'm going to be an education president, a president who understands the following concepts. One, we must set high standards and high expectations. Two, we got to have local control of schools. I don't believe a one-size-fits-all federally mandated and federally run education program will work. And thirdly, the cornerstone for good education is accountability.